Linus Tech Tips coverage of PAX 2013 is brought to you by Western Digital, Intel, and SteelSeries.
Hey guys, we're here at the Indie Mega Booth checking out Aztez. I had to check this game out, not only because the art style looks amazing, but there's blood everywhere, and that's just awesome. So what can you tell me about this game?
So Aztez is it's actually two games. It's a beat 'em up and also a strategy game. So the idea is that you're going to go back and forth between the two. You're going to have some fun real-time beat 'em up segments and then kind of make some decisions and think a little bit. The reason we did that is just because we're tired of the standard beat 'em up formula and just want to see something new. So,
for sure. What can you tell me more about the building mode or the nation controlling mode?
So you're basically going to be looking at a giant map of the Aztec Empire shortly before the Spanish show up. And the idea is that you're going to be pushing on the boundaries of the empire, trying to expand it, but also managing chaos. So when it happens, you're going to enter one of the many city environments and knock some heads around. So, you know, it's kind of the way the Aztecs did things. Yeah.
So basically, if someone messes with your turf, you go knock them out, which sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, one thing is, when you go to knock these guys out, you can control different characters. Can you tell me more about that?
You're actually controlling a special forces unit almost. So this is just like a very, very powerful, get in there, make a mess, send the message, get out. But when it's all said and done, you'll be able to look however you want. You'll be able to use one of 4 different weapons. We want it to be very expressive and feel like it's you know, you're making decisions and it's a reflection of you, but it is just a nondescript special forces warrior. So
that's cool. That's cool. I noticed again, you said making a mess. As I mentioned earlier, there's blood everywhere. What can you tell me about the blood mechanic?
So the reason there's a blood mechanic is because the Aztecs were very, very big on blood. It was actually part of their religious belief system. They believed that the sun was moving through the sky on an engine of blood, which is why they were so crazy about sacrifice. Like, those aren't legends. They actually did that a lot. So we figured it would really pipe into what was cool about the Aztecs to have the blood actually be a part of the game. So the way it works is that in the game, you're spilling blood constantly because of the fighting. You can absorb it. And based on different factors, it'll do different things for you. Always advantageous, but it's just a way to make something that's always there actually be useful. Yeah.
Right, and that ties into the combo points and amount of hits you can get in what way?
It depends. Sometimes it'll give you health back. Sometimes it'll extend your combo meter. We're thinking at this point, and it's not finalized yet, but we're thinking at this point we want to give you a choice. What do you want the blood to do? So.
That's great, and like with the combo stuff, wow, sorry, I just had to point out, that was an insane amount of blood that just flew through the screen. Certain, like, every once in a while you hear an eagle sound and the guy jumps up. Is that just the jump, or is that something else going on there?
We're trying to give every single enemy attack a distinct tell, and that means a very specific visual and a very specific piece of audio. So when you're hearing that eagle scream, that basically means that it's a specific attack that's about to happen, and so it kind of gives you mentally prepared for what's happening in the next second.
Right, and the whole mental preparedness, this is not a game that's based around button mashing.
Right.
If you notice, when he just whiffed right there, a whiff is when you miss a person. So you're trying to grow up your combo, you're trying to get all those extra points, you whiff, you lose your combo. So it's more about strategy, listening to the key points like you were just talking about, and making sure that you land all those hits, because that is how you can get more blood and more points. One other thing that I had to touch on is the art style, because the second you walk past this booth, you notice it's very unique. What can you tell me about that?
So the reason we have an art style that looks like this is because I thought it would be a cool challenge. I've never really done anything like this before, and I'm the only artist on the project.
Okay.
So the other reason something like this makes a lot of sense is because if we had a very, very complex art style, it'd be difficult to create a lot of assets. So we had to do something that would make us stand out and that also made sense from a production point of view, and that's kind of why we ended up here. The only other reason is that it sort of makes sense and kind of looks Aztec-y at the end of the day, so it's what ended up making the most sense for us. Yeah.
It looks fantastic, and you're definitely right, it does look Aztec-y, but there must have been some amount of challenges in running this as well, because making things pop out must have been interesting. Was that difficult?
Oh yeah, I mean, it took a long time to get it to the point to where it was both interesting and not difficult to look at. So, I mean, people compare it to Mad World a lot, which I totally understand, but the thing about Mad World is that there's no gray. It's actually very, very difficult on a lot of people's eyes. So I was trying to get as far away from something like that as possible, because obviously I don't want to create any physical pain in anyone playing my game, but it did take a while to get it to the sweet spot. So
it's a really good point about the gray, because when you look at this game, it's sharp contrast, but it's not sharp. because it's still comfortable and smooth to look at, and it's really cool that you were able to capture that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the trick is really that the characters and the effects are black. The foreground is like a dark gray, and then it just slowly creates this fake sense of depth by just lightening the gray. So it is ultimately still very simple, but it's helping create the distinction in the layers for the eyeballs. So, yeah.
That's really cool. And one thing that they also added in is that you can play this on Oculus Rift. Luckily, in Unity, it's not really that hard to add Rift support, so they added that. And honestly, if I was to play this game, I'd love to pick up an Oculus Rift, so I'm super happy that you guys implemented that. They've slightly changed the angle so that it makes a lot more sense. What can you tell me about that?
So the only thing that we really did is that we brought the camera a little bit lower and a little bit closer into the characters. So what that means is that you've got to actually look to the left and the right to see what's happening around you, and it's just very compelling. Something about it made it much more engaging, it made it much more interesting, but since you have to look around, it also makes the environment much more alive. And so that was the only change that we made. In 5 minutes, we're like, let's try this, and it ended up being awesome, so we're sticking with it. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's Unity, it's an easy implementation, so you'll be able to play on the Rift when the game is out. Yeah.
That's great to hear. A recurring theme I find with this game is that you guys made something that seems simple, a change that seems simple that made all the difference, and will make, in my opinion, will make this game, which is really great to hear.
I appreciate it.
Thank you for running us through the booth.
Yeah, thank you.
If you'd like to see all of our content in the Indie Mega Booth, if you'd like to see all of our content at PAX, be sure to subscribe to Linus Tech Tips.